everyone. Welcome to the Ask Dr. Reilly Show. My name is Dr. Anissa Reilly, and I am your host for this evening. I want to thank you for coming into our home this evening to learn about our next season. Thank you for welcoming me into your home and sitting down and watching what we have in store for you. So, season 1 was amazing. We talked about sexual trauma, and we had some guests who shared their stories, and we journeyed with them as they were talking about what was going on in their life. Now, season 2, are you ready? Put on your seatbelt, because season 2, we're gonna take you on another ride. We're gonna talk about loss, and my first guest is my sister, my friend, my church sister. Now, yes, I brought that into the mix because we are the ones that you see in church that laugh, cry, and are loud, and we always shouting. So when you see two people in the church, just think of me and my friend, Renee. Now, she has an amazing story she's about to share with you. So I'm gonna ask you, have you ever been in love? Have you ever thought that your love was gonna last forever? Have you ever had a storybook love, and then all of a sudden, it was interrupted? Well, Renee is going to share with us her story. So I want to welcome her to our show, the Ask Dr. Reilly Show. Here is Renee. Put your hands together for my sister. Welcome.
Hey. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yes. You can have a seat.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. I'm so excited. So please just give a little bit of who you are to our viewers, because you're going to want to know who Renee is when this is all over. Trust me.
Well, Renee is a mother of one daughter, a widow. I am an Air Force veteran. I work with the vets now. I'm also a gospel artist, wherever my hands fit. I try new things. I love life. I'm proud to say that I'm over 60.
Yes, right. Good genes. We got good genes.
But I'm just here to just share ministry and where God can bring you from one thing and set you up for something else to give him the glory.
Yes. We have to do 2 snaps. So you better be snapping in your living room right now, because I'm snapping here for you. So the way in which I like to start our show is for each guest to share their definition of our theme. So our theme for season 2 is loss. Mm-hmm. So when you think of the word loss, what does that mean to you?
Loss to me means you had something that was so precious, never thought that it would go away, and then one day it's gone. That very precious thing, no matter what it is. It could be your career, your job, a person, your animal, that you never even thought about it. They were so precious to you, you never thought about losing it. And to me, when they're gone, or that thing is gone, that's loss, because it goes deep.
Wow, okay, so usually we don't go there that fast, but you just took us to a place where I felt it in my soul, and I thought about the puppy in the car and the person and those little things that were precious.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, when you lose it,
right,
it just touches you in places that you never even thought about. So you had a loss.
Right.
That's why you're here today. Can you just share? First, tell us who he is, and then we're going to talk about who and how y'all got together.
Well, his name is M as in E-M-M, Emmerich Charles Barnes, born October 6, 1955. Absolutely the finest, fine man I've ever seen in my entire life. And besides that, a wealth of knowledge. Played football, high school and college, and financial analyst. He used to work for the Navy, IBM. Besides that, introverted, loved me, his wife, and his daughter. Very quiet man, but just amazing.
Can we just take a pause for fine? Because I felt that. Well, my husband is fine too, but the way you just said fine, I seen it. I was like, Let me just, wait, because that
Well,
was...
you know how that goes. Before you see what's on the inside, you see the package.
Oh, yeah.
And I always tell people, I said, what draws me is the outside, what keeps me is the inside.
Oh, wait, you just say that again, because you just dropped a big old gem.
What draws me, that's why I tell people packaging is, people say the outside doesn't matter. And we be for real, people are visual. And it's what you see first. But what kept me there wasn't the outside, it was the inner person.
So he didn't have one tooth, like he wasn't snagging?
Oh no, his afro was like carpet, and he had the goatee, and he used to play football, so he had the physique going, and I was like,
Oh, wait, let me just, I can't even get the...
But what kept me was his wonderful personality. Great listener, because I like to talk all the time, and that's what kept me there, just a great heart, yeah.
So tip number 1, people, because I'm going to pause you right there. Tip number 1, if you're trying to get somebody, work on your outside packaging.
Absolutely.
Okay, you can't be showing up looking any old kind of way.
Absolutely.
All right. So now we know who he is. Now tell us how y'all met.
We met at Iona College back in September of 1977. I was a freshman, he was a senior, and he was coming out of the library one day, and I was standing at the courthouse with one of his fraternity brothers, who I knew first, Omega Psi Phi Q.
Oh, Q in the house?
Yeah, and so I asked his friend, I said, who is that fine guy coming out of the library? And he said, oh, that's my Q, my frat brother, his name is M. I said, M, what's an M? And back then, I'm dating myself now, back then the Campbell's soup slogan, I think, was good.
Oh.
So when he said his name is M, I said, well, that stands for good.
Wait, let me stop you right there. Let me pause you. Now,
I was a fresh freshman.
Yeah, I'm about to say, you got a little fresh. You got a little fresh. Good.
So I started waving to him. He was still maybe a good, I want to say 50 feet away. I started yelling, hi, M. He didn't even know who I was.
Because you were a freshman.
Yeah, but he was gracious. He waved back, but he was walking toward me. And we became friends, for a long time before we actually started dating. And we actually dated for 9 years. I mean, I don't recommend that to most people, but I was 17.
Okay.
He was only 21. After 3 years, I joined the Air Force. So it was when I got out of the Air Force that we got married, actually on Valentine's Day in 1986.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you said something that was really key that I want people to really hear, is that y'all were friends first.
Yes, and that's important.
That's important.
That's important.
Why is that? Why do you think that? Why is that important? Why should our viewers really understand that being friends is important?
When I got with OSG, I was made aware of a world that I feel like it was like the trolls, like a world that no one tells anyone about. You know what I mean? A group of black individuals that are intelligent, like-minded, that fight for love.
OSG coming together is about celebration, about community, about a year and a half on Zoom in the midst of a global pandemic. And here we are, connected, friends with Dame Dash. It is about the collective, the community, and the family that is OSG. And my favorite song to represent what we do is Click, because ain't nobody fresher than my Click. Click, click.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, just as a people, if you let someone see and understand who and what they can be, I tell you what, they're going to become who and what you believe they can be. But if they believe they can only be someone in shackles, if they believe they're because the images dictate to them that they can only be on a corner selling drugs or on the court shooting a ball, then that'll be the height of their aspirations. But if they can aspire to be a Dame Dash who's able to be successful despite what other people would want Dame Dash to be, then we've done the work that we've been placed here to do.
Can you just tell our audience, why is it important to be friends first?
One thing I like to tell a lot of the young married couples, you don't wake up every morning feeling in love at all. Because feelings are fleeting. Yes, I've established, we're in love, we got married, but you don't wake up every day if people be real.
Wait, so you trying to say that I could wake up one day and be like, I don't even like you?
I have woken up and looked at my husband and go, and I'm sure he did the same with me, but we had an established friendship, an established respect. and a commitment. A commitment goes beyond what you feel. It's saying that I'm going to stay in this, not regardless to all, because there's some reasons why people leave, but I'm committed to work through it. I'm committed to the harmony of my marriage. I'm committed to not allowing anybody else in my marriage.
Yes, speak.
You know, two become one, not three, not four, not five. Not your friends, not his mama, not your sister, not your buddies.
You done said,
Two become one. But like I said, even when you don't feel in love that day, we're friends. I like you, you like me. We have moments where I respect that you need your time alone.
Yeah.
You're having a moment.
Yeah.
And when you're not having that day when you're so in love, you can go back to that friendship thing you have.
And you said something that is really key about when you're not in love, you have the friendship because there's a foundation. And from the foundation is how you can build.
Right.
Right? You build this strength, you build this love, you build this dynamic,
Right.
and you build this strong sense of oneness,
Right.
right? And so you and M built this strong sense of oneness.
Right.
And then something happened.
Yeah. Something happened. 9/11 happened first. That's what happened. And I tell people 9/11 showed up twice for me. On 9/11, 2001. Well, maybe 3 times. 9/11, 2001, and then October 5th, 2007, the day before his 51st birthday, when we got news he had 4th-stage cancer.
Wait, don't let that get lost on the audience.
Yeah.
You found out he had what?
4th-stage, rare type of cancer, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, mantle cell lymphoma.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, we found a doctor at Mount Sinai that had dealt with only 6 cases. To the point where they didn't even have a treatment for that particular cancer, but they used the treatment they used for leukemia. So that was the second time 9/11 came to my house. The third time is the day he passed, which was September 5th, 2012.
Okay, so let's start with the first 9/11. So everyone knows 9/11, it's history. We know what happened in the United States. But let's zero in on his moment during 9/11.
Right. He worked as a financial analyst down near the South Street Seaport. It was actually called the Floating Hospital, where mostly women that, wasn't financially able, Medicaid patients, people that just didn't have it, they would come and get health care for their children themselves. And he works as the accountant on this hospital. It was actually a big boat. And the day of 9/11, when he got off the train, all that soot and people were running fell on him, and he was in the mix. And I remember I couldn't reach him all day because I worked in Queens, and he said to me that everybody left and started going home. Because this was in the morning, 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock. He said he decided to stay. He stayed until 5 o'clock, and everybody left, and there was one security guard said, if you're gonna stay, I'm gonna stay. And the reason he stayed was he said, no matter what's going on, by Friday, people are gonna want their paychecks. So he stayed and did payroll. And he's a man that I always noticed in the presence of anything that would have had the rest of us, he just was one of those that maintained, was focused. And he stayed until about 5 o'clock, never could hear from him, but anyway, he finally got home that night. But he would tell me every day when he would go back to work, you could smell death in the air. And I always wondered what type of effect did that have on him. But, in our conversation, I have to say, I can never tell the story without saying, I'm so glad that God is in my life. And the reason I say that is because this man was walking around with 4th-stage cancer and wasn't sick. This was a guy that high school, college, played football, was running back. He was head of the health ministry at our old church and the church we're at now. And, always watched his diet, the whole 9 yards, no symptoms whatsoever. But one morning I woke up and put the TV on and the volume was loud. So because he goes to bed late at night. So I asked him, I said, why was the TV so loud? He said, well, I couldn't hear out of one of my ears. And I'm like, I'm in the medical field. I said, we're not going to self-diagnose.
No, we're not.
We're not self-diagnosing. I said, I'd rather you go to the doctor and they say it's nothing than you stay home and it's something. So I sent him to the...
Let me pause you right there because let me stop you. Because I think people need to hear that.
Right.
First of all, you're not going to self-diagnose.
Right.
And I'd rather you go somewhere and they tell you that it's something rather than you stay home.
Right, and it's only going to get worse because whatever's brewing your body is not going to stop because you didn't go.
Wait, I didn't say it right. go to the doctor and they tell you that it's nothing,
Right.
rather than you stay home
And it's something. Right.
That's important because a lot of us will stay home and it's something, and then it's too late to do anything.
Right. And I can tell you this, statistically speaking, married men do live longer than single men because the wife pushes them.
Okay.
Because if my husband, if we weren't married, he would have died. But because he didn't mention anything was wrong with his ear, there was no pain, he just didn't hear well. And people have a tendency, not all men, but a lot of times more men than not, to make do.
Yeah.
So he made do because one ear was fine and he just turned the volume up.
Yeah.
But God, in his awesomeness,
Yeah.
had me realize, and when we sent him to the doctor said, you have a little fluid on your ears? He said, you're old to be having that, but whatever, we're gonna drain it, put a tube in. In the interim between getting one ear done and the other ear done, we lost his mother to cancer. But once after 8 months, we buried her. I said, we're getting you back to the doctor. When we sent it back to the doctor this time said, your voice doesn't sound right, which to me was odd because you only saw him once before. How do you know how his voice?
That's a God doctor.
That's what I'm saying. How do you know how his voice is supposed to sound? So the doctor said, wait a minute, come back and sit down. Examine again, went to his nasal passages. Because what he was doing was with his ear. He found a nasal polyp. So when they excised it and biopsied it is when they found that he had 4th stage cancer. Wow. And that's when I say, you know what? I thank God for having relationship, because it wasn't about his ear.
Yeah.
God was getting him to a doctor because he had 4th stage cancer. And if we didn't know it, I would have not had my husband for 6 more years. So instead of me saying, God, why you take my husband at 56? I say, God, thank you for 6 more years. Thank you for research. This is why I tell people, give to research. I don't care if it's $1. When I'm at the supermarket or somebody, I don't care what it's for. Cancer, diabetes, mental illness, whatever, because you don't know what you're coming to. You don't know what your family's coming to. You just don't know. So even though God heals, he uses doctors. And if it wasn't for research, because back in my day when I was little, they didn't even want to say the word cancer.
Yeah.
But research and medicine has come so far. A lot of times they manage it or they help you to live longer. So I can say, you know what, Lord, I thank you for taking me through this journey where my husband thought it was his ear, but you were saving him for 6 more years. Thank you for the research of those amazing doctors that took care of my husband. So I could sit and be angry, but I won't. Instead, I take charge and let people know, give to research, get a relationship with God. All of that together help me and let me know that, you know what, 6 more years was amazing.
Well, I'm gonna stop you right there and I'm gonna say, give to research, okay? So if you have $1, $2, $20, $100, give to your favorite research. Whether it's mental illness, whether it's cancer, I'm going to exercise my right as the host to challenge you to give. We here at the Dr. Reilly Show are going to give, and I know you're going to give too, because as you can hear, look what happened for her husband. 6 more years.
On February 19, 2007, my Humvee was hit by a roadside bomb. I feel like I should have died on the battlefield, but I'm here. I feel like God's given me an opportunity to grow as an individual and have another lease on life. The Coalition of Suit America's Heroes is the leading nonprofit that is helping veterans across this nation. They've already saved countless lives, and they can save countless more lives. We need your help.
Visit saluteheroes.org to learn more.
Welcome to Health is Wealth Season 3. And this season, I am heavily inspired by Hawaiian dishes because Damon and I just got back from Hawaii. What's this first dish that we're gonna make?
So the first dish that we made was a mushroom long rice. It's kind of a twist on chicken long rice, which is sort of like the Hawaiian version of chicken noodle soup.
And you know, Damon and I love mushrooms, and it's been the easiest substitute for meat for us. All right, now we're gonna start.
I'm about to go work out. When we gonna eat?
Oh, well, I guess Damon's kind of hungry, so you want to start cooking?
Yeah, let's start.
All right, let's go.
Find out how to use an awkward silence to help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
9/11 number one.
Right.
Now 9/11 number two.
Right.
So talk about 9/11 number two.
Well, number two, just quickly, is when he called me when I was at work to tell me that the doctor said that he had cancer. That's after they did the biopsy. And I remember saying to him on the phone, I said, well, so what are we going to do? I said, we're going to trust God and believe? Right there on the phone, I said, nobody crying over here. Even the doctor that found me called me crying. So I said to him, why are you crying? He said, because I used to work at Sloan Kettering and I know what it can come to. I said, well, we're not crying over in these parts. I said, I trust God. I didn't know if he was a believer or not. It didn't matter. But I needed to hear myself, and I needed the enemy to hear me speak it into the atmosphere that my husband was going to live. And even when we broke it to my daughter, who was only 13, I gave her just a little bit of information because you shouldn't give too much detail. They couldn't handle it. I came and told her, I said, your father has cancer. I said, there will still be normalcy in this house. He'll go to appointments. He's going to be fine. And that's it. And she told me after he passed, I said, how did you feel about it at 13 when I told you that? She said, you and Daddy didn't seem to be nervous or anything, so I wasn't. And you know, we went through the thing where he lost his hair and was in the hospital for 8 days at a time with 2 spinal taps on a combination of chemo, 23 hours out of a day with 1 hour
I have
off.
to wait. Time out. Okay.
Yeah.
Time out. Because I know as a woman, we already take on so much.
Right.
We are expected to make $1 out of 15 cents.
Right.
We're supposed to take on the world. You know, I was in a meeting the other day with Mayor Sean Patterson. I'm gonna plug her name right there. And she said something. She said, she's the mayor of Mount Vernon, if you're asking me who is she, but she's the mayor of Mount Vernon. She said, we are superwomen and we have capes, and we have to be careful not to allow the cape to become a noose.
You're right. That's right.
Right?
That's right. Right.
So my question to you is, how did you take on all of this and still maintain your sanity?
Right. Because I loved him. And love has no limits and no bounds. And when it says in sickness and in health, I never thought of it as a chore. I got a plan together. I said to him, you be responsible for keeping the faith and being at every appointment. I said, I will make every appointment. I will pick up your meds. I will drive you to the hospital. I will pick you up. And I did all of that because simply I adored him. So my thing is, if you hurt, I hurt. But at the same time, when you're down, I'm gonna lift you up. I didn't think of it as a chore. I would go to the VA and work all day, go home to Yonkers, cook him something to eat, even though he said, Renee, I'll eat the hospital food. But I'm like, you're going through this. I know what you like. I would go to Yonkers, cook, come back down to Mount Sinai, and I just did it. And Heather was away at college at Adelphi, but when she came home, she worked at New York and Company, and I'd get her schedule. I said, let me know what hours you work every day, because what I would do is the hours she was at work, that's when I would go to the hospital.
So you planned.
So that when she's home, I would be home with her, because if I wasn't, it would remind her, Mommy's not here because Daddy's not here. So if her hours was 4 to 8 at New York and Company, I'd go see him from 4 to 8. But I just did it. I didn't.
So how did you avoid caretaker's fatigue? Because there are some people who start caring for their loved ones, and they say, yes, I adore him. Yes, I adore her, but I'm tired.
It's funny because, first of all, I was 52 at the time, so trust me, that 9 years was a difference. But I don't know. First of all, I'm hyper and I'm high energy, so that does help.
Yes.
And I knew me after a while when it was getting close to the end for him. I told my husband said, you don't have to come down every day. He was not a needy man. He wasn't one of those men we get sick, I need people around me. He was not. They used to call him a gentle giant at Mount Sinai because he wasn't always pushing the bell or anything. But as it got closer to the end, it was a spiritual assignment. Because I remember telling my daughter, I said, I'm going to see your father, not because just to keep company with him. I said, he's at the point where he can't read for himself. And there's no Christian stations on that hospital television. I said, so I'm going down there to read the word to him. Most of my best gospel concerts was just for him. I would sit down there and sing every gospel song, every hymn I knew. Even if I stayed just an hour, I was pouring into his spirit. But at the time, I didn't know that God was building me up. Because he was going to take him, even though I never saw it. Because my faith was at the point, I said, you know what, God? I don't care what it looks like. At this point, he had had a heart attack. They had put him on toward the end. He was on the respirator and all of that. And for some reason, I would look at him and it's like, well, if he dies, I'm just going to pray, and you're going to raise him from the dead. That's what. But I didn't tell that to everybody because everybody's faith is not where yours is.
So I think people do have that same prayer. Like they're praying that their loved ones get better.
Right.
They're praying that their loved ones come out of a coma. They're praying that their loved ones' health turns around. But in your case, that didn't happen.
Right.
So what do you say to those people who are in the same position and say, yes, I've been praying too,
Right.
and God didn't answer my prayer.
Right.
They took my loved ones.
Right.
So I am mad and I have a right to be angry.
Right.
Because you don't seem angry.
I never was angry.
You don't
That's
seem
one
bitter?
of the things let me tell you why.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But I get it, you're busy, and busy people can't have prediabetes. I read that wrong. They can, okay? Just go to the site.
The doctor called me down the day before he passed and said, I need you to talk him into going back on the respirator because if he doesn't, he will not make it through the night. And I said to her on the phone, I'm coming down. So she got me in the room at the hospital. I said, let me tell you something. I'm not going to talk him into anything. And I said, the reason that is because the relationship my husband and I had, he was a priest of the house. And when he made a decision.
Wait, let me stop you right there. Yes, that is what she said. Her husband was the priest of the house. Let's just take a side journey for a minute and just explain to everyone what that means because I know some women are like, what? Oh no, but yes. What do you mean by that?
My husband, there's God, there's my husband, then there's me. Whatever, my husband covered me. He was my security. He made the decisions. I submit myself to my husband.
Oh, here we go, there's that word. But
why was that easy?
Yeah.
Because my husband submitted himself to me. He made sure I was loved, protected, so it was easy.
That's key.
It was easy.
That was key. Your husband submitted to you, loved you,
Right.
protected you, provided for you. So it was like, yes, honey.
It was, when I tell you, it was very easy. It was very easy. So when she said, can you please talk him into, I said, in my household, when he made a final decision, it was never up for discussion again. My husband didn't argue. If he said something, even if I tried to convince him, he wouldn't say anything. So I said, she said, well, can I try to talk to him again about changing his mind? I said, you can, but he won't just because I'm in the room. And he didn't. He said to her, he said, I told you, thank you, you can leave. And so she's still standing there. So I looked at her, I said, you may leave. And when she left, I looked at my husband and I said, whichever way this thing goes down, because she's saying you won't make it through the night, I said, you win. I said, if God chooses to keep you here without being on a respirator, what an awesome miracle. And I said, but if he chooses to take you home, I said, you know you don't miss a beat. It's like taking off your coat and you're still walking because who you are is not this. I said, but you go into the presence of the Lord with no more pain. I said, so you win either way. It's a win-win. And I kissed him all over his face, left around the same time I did every night when I would go to see him. And that's why I say, when I went to minister to him and read scriptures to him, God was filling me as much as he was filling him. The reason I never got angry because I thank God for a relationship with the Lord way before cancer, 9/11, anything.
Yeah.
And I've learned how to trust God. I learned when my husband was laid off a few times and I kept paying my tithes that God was going to open another door.
Yeah.
You know, I learned when I had surgery and my heart stopped for like a minute during surgery and God brought me out. I saw what God can do. So his record was fine, was good with me. His resume was good. So I was like, Lord, there's a bigger picture here why you went on and took him. I don't understand it. I don't like it right now, but I trust you. But I never was mad with him. So when people say, but I prayed too, but you know what I realized? I was praying for what I wanted. I wanted my husband to stay here. I wanted him to be here as a father to his daughter, as a husband to me. But in this life, there's a bigger picture. I don't know. There was a point where me, God, and my husband were walking. But after a while, there was a point where I couldn't walk. It was just him and my husband having the conversation. I believe that God showed him, when you come into my presence, the ministry that I will put on your wife will help others. They will help others that do get angry, those that turn their back on God.
Let me stop you there, because now that's where I wanted you to go. So now, what has come out of it, this ministry that I'm gonna have y'all share with you, have you share with them about? Because it comes from your book, What If He Dies? So talk about your ministry that, as your husband kept walking with God,
right,
and you were here. What did God say? Now this is for you, Renee.
Right. And it's something how God revealed it to me. The Lord showed me. Let me go back. The day my husband died, I came home and said to my father, I spoke it out of my mouth, I can't wait to heal. The day he died. And I tell people, healing is a choice and healing is a discipline. It is work. Time doesn't just heal you. I've met people that have lost loved ones 5 years later in the same spot. Because it's not just about time. It's about commitment, it's about discipline, and it's work. I got up after 2 weeks, got dressed, put my clothes on, and would go to work every day. Didn't feel like going, didn't feel like I wanted to go to work, didn't feel like smiling, didn't feel like working up patience. But you know what I did? I made a commitment to go and allowed my feelings to catch up.
I heard my friend say, I chose joy. So she goes, I choose joy. So you chose joy.
Yes, I chose to keep living. Because I said to my daughter, what are we going to do now after your father's gone? What are we going to do now? She said, Mommy, we're going to live. I said, not just exist. Live means carrying out your assignment, carrying out your purpose. I said, because if we allow ourselves to go in the pit, I said, we're going to go through the grieving process. We have to go through that. Because the only way to get through grief is to grieve. I said, but what you have to remember is to keep your eye on the prize. I said, because if we allow ourselves to sink, we have made your Father God. And our God is a jealous God. I said, if we allow ourselves to lose our purpose, lose ourselves, don't accomplish what God has for us on this earth, we have died with him and made your Father a God. He is not. And so with that, the Lord showed me one day in the back of in my kitchen, I saw my husband's body going down into the ground. And the Lord said, that's a seed. His casket going down is a seed. Then above his casket, and this is an open vision, I saw a beautiful tree coming up with green leaves all over it. And the Lord was showing me, this is what's going to happen. The harvest is that you're going to use what you've been through to minister. Now, at that point, I still didn't know about starting a group. That's when the Lord had spoke to me and said, you're going to write a book. I didn't want to write a book. And he gave me the name, What If He Dies? Didn't do anything with it. 3 or 4 years later, somebody said to me at church, how's the book coming? I'm like, how do you know about a book? He said, flesh and blood didn't reveal it to me. And that's when it was confirmed that
So you speaking a whole lot of church lingo, right? Because I know people like flesh and blood, what, this, and all of this other stuff. But I'll say it in a way that people who aren't familiar with church language or church culture, that there are times when you meet individuals or you meet people and they'll have a knowing.
Right.
And you're wondering, how do you know that? And some people call it deja vu.
Right.
Some people call it, I dreamt about it. Some people say I had a vision, I had some insight. And so that's basically what happened. But in church culture, we know that it's the Spirit of God that allows us to know the things that we know and speak to people for encouragement. Right? And so you got this encouraging word from one of the congregants at the church that we go to. I told you we those two sisters in the church, right?
Right.
And
so that pushed me to go ahead and write What If He Dies? And like I said, I kept trying to change the name because I'm like, God, that's really dramatic. I know I'm a dramatic person and people like, you're just such an actress. I couldn't get rid of that title at all, but that's it. But how I started the group was, I was watching.
So the group, tell us who the group is.
The group is the Two Village, TWO. The acronym stands for Together We Overcome. It actually started out just being called Two, and it morphed its way into the Two Village. And how that started was I was watching and crying and watching John McCain's funeral. And the whole time when they would show his wife, I was laying I said, I know what she's going through. It was like I was feeling it all over again. And I said, God, I'm getting so tired of every time I hear about a widow or widower, like I'm reliving this. I need to do something with this. And I'm in the bed having this conversation with God. I'm like, you know what? Let me start a widows group, because I've been on Facebook pages where it's all sad and depressed all the time. And I'm like, God, there's some way I want to be able to help these widows, but also help them to get to the point where they're healthy and whole again. Different, but healthy and whole again. Let them realize that you still have ministry, you still have gifts, you have hobbies, you have dreams, there's things you want to do. You still can do this. Different, you have to now unplan everything you planned with this band. You know, you have to start all over. It's okay, but we can do it. So that's what got me started. And I'm laying in bed and I'm like, God, two. And I'm talking, ooh, together we overcome. So that's how it morphed, and it's about 2 years now, and we have about 100 members, widows and widowers.
So if there are any widows or widowers that would like to get in contact with you, with your the Two Village, how do they get in contact with you?
Well, if they're on Facebook already, they can look up the Two Village, or they can look up my name, B. Renee Barnes, on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram at B. Renee Ministries. Other than that, I guess I can get information through
So we'll put that on the screen to make sure that if you didn't catch it, you'll be able to see it. Where can they get your book?
Through me, right out of the back of the trunk. Let me tell you something.
That's right.
It's on Amazon.
Talk about it.
But we had to raise the price a little bit, and you know they want too big of a cut. Not that I'm keeping the money. I pour all my CDs and book. It goes back into ministry. That's a whole separate account, because I work. I don't touch that money. But I'm like, they want too much. You know. So usually, I always carry books, either like I said, in my trunk at work. People want them. You know, I ship them out. Whatever I need to do, I have no problem with that. Because I want to get the word to them that this book is less about, it's not a tear-jerker.
Right.
I give the foundation of that he died and how he go. I don't even get into the cancer journey, because people know about that. The purpose of this book to show that whatever life-changing experience that you've gone through, it shows how God was in the mix and how he can be. God prepared me. I'm not going to tell it for those that want to get the book.
Yes,
God prepared me for one thing before there was ever 9/11, to prepare me for my husband's death.
The day that JD was injured, I had woke up to an odd phone call. It was the military calling to tell me that he had stepped on an IED.
My role in the Army was I was an infantry scout. I was a squad leader for a recon element.
The Army doesn't really prepare you for injuries. They either prepare you for the soldier to come home or not to come home at all. They don't prepare you for the in-between. There's things that I do for him that is considered caregiving that to me is considered just loving him.
The day I got injured, she got wounded as well. And the veterans wouldn't be the men that we are and the women that we are today if it wasn't for our better half helping us every direction we go.
The Coalition to Salute America's Heroes helps severely wounded or disabled veterans just with basic needs such as emergency financial aid. For our family specifically, they tremendously helped us out with employment through their Heroes Thinking Heroes program.
Visit saluteheroes.org to learn more.
About loss, and a lot of people get stuck and paralyzed in loss, and they don't know what to do once they lose that precious thing. But you've just talked about how you lost your precious husband, the precious love of your life, and you're still strong. So how does loss equal strength?
How does it equal? Well, put it this way.
Or how can it become strength?
It's really, like I said, it's a choice. It's absolutely a choice. You have to first, it's not about how you feel. You have to tell yourself, this is what I'm going to do. I'm coming out of this. And what helped me, let me tell you something, support is so good. If you choose to go to a grief counseling support group, all of these things are wonderful. I never went because I had awesome church support, job support. People count down a lot of times where you work, but you're with them more than you with your family. Family support. I had so much support, and my basic makeup was that no matter what it is, even with my husband, I'm going to get better. And I had a daughter watching me. And I was the type of mother, not so much what I say is what I do. If I say I don't want you using foul language, you never heard mommy do it. It's about you watch my life. If I want you to look presentable, you watch mother walk out presentable. Respect all of that. So she watched her mother, okay, Ma, you're the Christian. You talk about God all the time. What you going to do with this? And daddy's gone. I kept it moving. So guess what? When faith without works is dead. And faith is a principle in the earth. Even if you never accept Jesus in your life, you got people, things are happening for them because they believe in it. So I believed, I knew, I planned, intentional to get better. And the more I pushed and kept going, the more powerful I became. Yes, I'm telling you, you're building spiritual muscles. You're building more confidence. You're building your faith. All of that does come into play because you said, I used to be here a year ago. I used to cry every other day. Now I might cry a month. Now I might cry 6 months from now. Now guess what? If I do cry, I miss my husband's on the inside, but I'm able to say, girl, you can get there.
So I'm just going to use this as a reminder that if you are in a situation and you are paralyzed and you feel like you can't move on because you've lost your precious thing, make a choice and keep moving forward, because that is how you're going to reach your dream. That is how you're going to reach your purpose. And that is what we do here at the Ask Dr. Reilly Show. We want to make sure that you reach your purpose. We want to make sure that you're living your best life. So make a choice. Choose joy. And remember that there's research out there that needs our assistance. So please make sure you donate. You heard Renee say she was a veteran. So please make sure you donate to a veteran, some cause that a veteran is a part of. So just find something to do. And if you don't have any financial means to donate, assist, help, give a hug. You see, she started the 2 Village. So you can do something just to assist and help those who may be grieving or who are in a state of paralysis because of loss. Well, thank you, my sister. I appreciate you. Make sure you go get her book, What If He Dies? Reach out, contact her, follow her on IG. But I love you.
I love you, and thank you for the opportunity.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming and sharing your story. And I just want to say that my name is Dr. Anissa Reilly, and this is the Ask Dr. Reilly Show, and we love you, and we thank you for joining us. That's a wrap. Peace. Welcome to the Dr. Reilly Show.
Next time on Ask Dr. Reilly, Dr. Reilly sat down with teenager Jada Robinson to talk about stray bullets hitting home.
Like, what is it that you would like the audience to know about when you are a sibling and you lose your sibling in such a tragic way?
I would say it's hard to move past it almost, and it feels like a lot of times, like as you're growing up, since I was younger, like it would be several instances. Like there was one time I was doing like a photo shoot thing, and it was these 2 girls and they were sisters, and I wanted my sister to be there because like they were all taking, and I was still young, I was like 7, and it's like it was like hard seeing everybody else grow up and they would all have siblings and stuff, and knowing that I had like a sister and something. But then over time, I didn't like learn to forget it, but I just learned to live with it.
I'm your host, Dr. Anissa Reilly.